¿Qué tal, amigos? Welcome to a special edition of LatNation Football Club. Y le vamos a llamar Copa Nation because we're all about the World Cup right now. That's right. Nik Z, Chiva Mayor. The World Cup is just a few days away. And most of the rosters have been announced. And I want to focus today on the U.S. national roster because there have been a lot of, let's just say, cochinada, some weird stuff going on. I'm upset with Pochettino. I don't like that he did one specific thing. Diego Luna, a player that lined up 17 out of 18 possible times in the process to the World Cup, and he was not called into the final roster. Disrespectful, ignorant,
Shots fired.
naive, and capricious are the four words that come to mind about Pochettino and making this decision. For me, Diego Luna was the heart and soul of the next generation of U.S. soccer. You can have as many European players as you want, but if you don't have the player that is able to score goals after breaking his nose and going back into the field, then you don't have nothing. The player that was the heart and the example for next generations of players of how do you need to play when you're wearing that jersey is Diego Luna, and he will not be in the World Cup. Chiva, you are as upset as I am about the situation?
Yeah, I mean, it's sad. The way he was informed that he's not going to the World Cup is what upsets me the more, right? Because when it comes to picking the players, sometimes there's always going to be controversy. There's always going to be this, it's not fair, it's fair. As a coach, I can tell you that sometimes you have to make hard decisions, like the one he made by not taking Diego Luna that represents the MLS, your league, the league that represents the United States, and a player like that you said played for 17 matches out of 18. To me, the most incredible thing is the fact that he went back to an email. He sent an email to let him know that he was not going to make it to the World Cup. But me, as a coach, that just talks bad about you. Because first, right now in soccer and in sports in general, es más que nada la conexión humana con el jugador. And the fact that he treated him like an employee or whatever, he just talks a lot of negative stuff about Pochettino. And not just not taking Diego Luna is a negative thing, but the fact that he sent him an email es lo que me tiene más sin palabras.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to obviously defend that side of things because I agree with you. We all saw the split screen of how the Canadian coach handled his calling of players who didn't make it versus how Pochettino was talking about, well, if I was a player, I wouldn't care if I didn't get, I don't need the coach to call me. Anyways, that's beyond the point. The point is, I think Pochettino is obviously doing this, zero emotion involved. We, as American fans, are looking at this from an emotional standpoint of view. There's a broken nose moment. We all love Diego Luna because he's a regular guy. You know, he's got the tats. He just looks like a young, cool guy. He's from Cali, so, we got that Cali connection. It's an emotional thing from our end, but there are better players out there, and I guess that's just how he was looking at it in that moment. And how did he play in those 17 of the last 18 matches? He played well, but what about the U.S. team as a whole? How did we do in the Gold Cup? We didn't do well. How did we do in the CONCACAF Nations Cup? We didn't do that great. We lost to Mexico. We lost to Panama. So I guess with this new squad that involves players like Pulisic, who didn't bother playing in those tournaments, by the way, how is he going to integrate with those players? And I guess that's the kind of squad that they're looking at. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, it doesn't involve Luna, which sucks.
The criteria seem to be Euro snubbing. And this is when you decide that a player, just because he's in a European team, is a better fit than a player that is in the domestic league, meaning MLS. We did have a good amount of players, important players from MLS joining the team. We have Roldan from Seattle, which I feel like is great. We have several goalkeepers. We have Chris Barley. We have Matt Freese, Matt Turner as goalkeepers. Great players. Alejandro Sendejas from America. I think this is the player that it was the biggest surprise of the whole call-up. The player that was not really involved in the process, eligible in the middle of the novela, between like playing with Mexico, picking with the U.S. Do you feel like there was some promoter brouhaha happening for the Sendejas to squirrel their way to the World Cup?
Not with Sendejas, because I think Sendejas was playing at a really good level with Club America. Sendejas is a player that can play at any position at top. It's a very dynamic player that is going to help a lot the U.S. But I think the controversy goes more with Gio Reyna. A lot of people saying that, what if Gio Reyna was not called to the national team over Diego Luna? The federation will be making some calls to switch that. I mean, ya sabemos que todo esto es política. Gio Reyna has not If he will only have half of the heart that Diego Luna has, he could be one of the best players in the world. But he's not. So, más que nada yo creo que el problema es con Gio Reyna. He took the spot over Diego Luna. And I guarantee you that most of the USA fans, which I'm not, they will want Diego Luna over Gio Reyna. Because, yeah, Gio Reyna has more talent, but Diego Luna has more heart. And sometimes at a national team and a World Cup, that's what you need. Players that feel the colors and have the heart.
Yep.
Now,
Reyna, who plays at Borussia Mönchengladbach. It took me an hour to realize how to pronounce the name of the club that he plays for.
Nik,
yeah.
you bring an excellent point. Let's rewind it back.
Yeah.
Not too long ago, there was big drama in the U.S. national team. There were two power families, traditional families, the Berhalters and the Reinas. And they were fighting to see which kid got the star on their forehead from the coach. At the end, we know the story. One stayed with the group. The other one was punished and put out into the press like the troublemaker that he is. And now we have both. Sebastian Berhalter will be in the World Cup. Gio Reyna, are they going to be roommates?
Yeah, they have to. They don't have a choice. If we want to actually be a serious squad, we have to get along. Kumbaya.
Kumbaya time. But do you feel like there's on-call pressure from these royal names, last names of the U.S. national team to have their offsprings just kind of like a little push that maybe Diego Luna didn't have?
I guess, yes. But look, nepotism doesn't tend to be the main factor unless we're talking about like the Lakers or something like that. But these kids had to prove that they're worth it. And I don't know. Look, you can make the underdog story that Luna was snubbed because he's just this, hardworking guy from a small town in Northern California and he deserves to be there and he was snubbed over the privileged, connected players. I just don't think it's that simple. I don't. Am I all for Diego Luna being on the squad? Yes, for sure, 100%. I don't agree with it, but I don't know if I'm going to get caught in storylines like that. Well, I don't think it's helpful.
We still have a few weeks to know the final rosters because they have to be turned into FIFA on June 2nd, my friend. So we maybe in these few days we'll know there's some changes. There's always the opportunity for injured players to be replaced up to the very last minute before the first game that the U.S., any team plays for that matter. We'll see.
Let's not forget about la telenovela de La Rosa de Guadalupe otra vez with the Mexican national team. Javier Aguirre coming out and saying that players playing in the final or that play the final still have a chance to make it to the World Cup when you have teams like Chivas that, they took away 5 players. And now from the people like me that was celebrating that Charlie Rodriguez was not going to the World Cup, all of a sudden the door is open for him, and most likely he's going to go to the World Cup. And another one is Marcel Ruiz. He has definitely said no Marcel Ruiz because of the type of injury that he has. Yeah. But the fact that he's opening the door for the players like Jordan Carrillo that play also the final with Pumas, he's just making it more controversial, más de telenovela. This doesn't help a national team like Mexico because, like you said, Kumbala, es de llevarse todos bien. Everybody has to be on the same page so that we can have a decent World Cup. Pero sí, la novela sigue con todo. Eh?
Now, who are the top 2 guys that you feel like their participation is key for the U.S. national team to have a good performance?
We're going to need to score goals. I'm hoping that Zendeja will be that for us. Another player I'm looking at is Weah. Oh, speaking of Weah, nepotism, whose father was the president of Liberia. No big deal there. And obviously a great footballer too, first and foremost, and then became the president. So it was the other way around. But yeah, those 2 players are sticking out to me. What about you guys? I
mean, for USA, Ricardo Pepi, he's a strong forward that could deliver goals for the U.S. national team. And of course, I'm always going to go with Zendejas. He played for Chivas first. Chivas was the one that discovered him in the United States, took him to Mexico.
We found him first.
No, it's not that we got him first. It is what it is. La sangre chiva nunca se la va a quitar. And it's good to see players like Mexican Americans playing for the national team and making a difference.
Sure. Well, for me, Serginho Dest is one of the players that might make a big difference, just like Malik Tillman. Those 2 are necessarily having to do a perfect World Cup if they want to have a strong midfield and very, very strong wing backs. Now, we have to go on a break. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, más Fútbol Mundial right here on Copa Nation, una edición especial de LatNation Football Club.
Is there any digging out of this massive hole that the Red Sox have built themselves. And Adam, I'm not talking about playoffs here, like I'm talking about just like a respectable 500 type season.
Yeah, this team is an absolute mess and should blow it up. Should be sellers come the deadline, and anything that you've got of value, get rid of it and just try and remake this thing.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I don't always do a great job of delivering it in the right way. I will admit that. But I think overall, when you're honest with people, they know they can trust you. That, I think the last thing you want to be is somebody who BS's people. And then they don't know if what you're saying is true, if you're manipulating them.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Craig Carton along with Tyrone Johnson. We got great news for you. CraigCartonShow.com. And Tyrone, what do you get if you go to that amazing website?
Well, right now you can subscribe to our upcoming newsletter. You put in your email address, and then bang, you'll get all the new Craig Carton Show content when it arrives.
Not just that, you also get merch drops, exclusive content, and appearances. So again, one more time, that website is CraigCartonShow.com.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
And we are back here in LatNation Football Club, continuing this special edition, Copa Nation, all about the World Cup. I'm here with Alex Crespo, Nik Z, and let's talk about another team which roster has a lot of people up in arms, and I'm talking about England, my friends. Yes, this roster has some big names that are not going to the World Cup. Alex Crespo, what's happening? Do you think that this is the best lineup that England could have put together, or are we going to be missing some very important players?
I don't know. It's kind of tricky because, this coach is out here saying, oh, you don't need to put the most talented players in your team to make a difference. What is that mentality, first of all? Second of all, I think that when you're missing players like Phil Foden, Alexander-Arnold, who are players that, are huge for their club teams, and now that they're not here to make a big difference in their national team, it's kind of crazy. Especially with players like Cole Palmer, not being in the World Cup. I think this is just a horrendous idea from the coach, and we'll see how well they do.
Well, I'm proud of the group because they did excellent. We wanted the next level of intensity and commitment and cohesion, and I think we got exactly that. But we were patient. We never lost the right attitudes. We were strong from the start, and we kept the intensity throughout the whole match.
Yeah. I just don't understand the strategy behind it. You can make the strategy that, hey, the biggest, flashiest, most famous players don't always need to make it. Case in point, Diego Luna. All the Bank of America commercials leading up to this and then get snubbed. He's well known. You can make the argument that he might not plug in. But that's a player of magnitude that you would think is absolutely essential for England. Yeah. So
Cole
I don't
Palmer,
understand.
yep. Declan Rice.
Yeah.
We're talking about players that have been defining English football. Right? Declan made it, but I'm talking about this group of players.
Right. He's among them.
That came together, and we saw them just very much like we see in Spain, Pedri, Gabri. There's this core of players that already know how to play together, that they know very well. And just last summer, Chelsea was the talk of the tournament. They came to this country. They were able to withstand the heat, the conditions. They were ready. They had the test drive already for this competition. And they were not called up. Now, what are the big names that you see in this roster, Alex, that might fill up that big gap?
I think a player like Reece James is obviously going to fill in the gap for Alexander-Arnold, because I think that Reece James has the pace that Alexander-Arnold's lacking, and the coach did say that he doesn't want attacking players for his defense. So this is obviously going to be a more sit in the back type of play, but then you have players like Bukayo Saka who are going to lead the attack, and I think they're going to do really good in that sense. But it's crazy that the names that we're missing.
Now, Nick, let's talk about the strikers, because England has some of the world top players right now. We have, just to begin with, Harry Kane.
Yeah.
This is the World Cup that Harry Kane really needs to make a difference.
Exactly.
But also we have, like you said, Saka is a really good player. Watson, also a good player. Yeah. What do you think is going to be the secret sauce for England to actually have a successful World Cup?
They can get by having Harry Kane as their main goal scorer. They just need to, I think, set him up in the correct way. So we're going to have to see, Declan Rice, others in the midfield feeding Kane, because that's when Kane, or at least I don't even want to compare Bayern Munich to like this squad because it's going to be completely different. But the way that we saw it happen with Bayern, it was just constantly Kane with this beautiful, let's say, ability to be in the right place at the right time and score the right goal. And they need to sort of replicate that. So that's going to be tough, obviously. But if they can do that, they're going to be good because Kane is a goal-scoring machine.
But kind of bringing it back to like these players that, did make the list but maybe shouldn't have. I mean, we're talking about Jordan Henderson. This is a player that, his time has passed. And you're going to choose him over an in-shape midfielder like Alexander-Arnold, like this is insane. You're choosing him over Cole Palmer. You're choosing him over Foden, who is these are young players that have the stamina to be able to last throughout the whole game, and you're choosing Unk.
Now let me advocate for the Unks. What if you are building a team that it's favoring players that are not going to get distracted? Now, let's not forget. There's several of these young British players that are very famous for their off-campus shenanigans. So I'm not surprised to see that the coach might say, you know what, I'm going to actually put together a team that has the ability to be focused throughout the tournament instead of falling for all these distractions that you might find in the United States.
Yeah, well, that's a good one. That's a good one. I mean, I don't think that these players are not having fun, in their domestic leagues, going out at night and doing whatever. I don't think that like America is going to be like some new, oh my God, they have bars here. They don't have that back home. Like it's not going to be funner than what they're up against over there. So I really don't think that. I think you can have fun when you're playing in, domestic leagues or whatever. But the World Cup's the World Cup, whether you're a young player or experienced player, I think you're going to take it serious. I don't know if that's the reason why. I really don't see them getting too distracted.
Now that we are in the theme of players that are going to miss out on the World Cup. Yeah. Do you guys have some big names from around the world that are going to be dearly missed during the World Cup?
Now, talking about dearly missed players, I got to bring up Ziyech for your Moroccans. I mean, this is a player that he was a superstar in Europe, and now he's missing out on the World Cup. I just don't understand this move by Morocco.
It reminds me of 2014 Landon Donovan, who was absolutely killing in the Gold Cup, and he was still the highest scoring player for the U.S. men's national team. And they said, you know what, 32 years old. No, we got younger, we got fresher legs. Let's go for it. I know on paper you're the best, but he was snubbed, I feel like. So I think it's a similar thing. They're going for youth.
Another player I want to bring up that we have mentioned in the past, but Dybala. I mean, this is a player that, he is a superstar in Europe, but then I guess there's too many stars on Argentina. And to be honest, like, who are you are you starting him over Enzo? Are you starting him over McAllister?
But now let me throw this into the fold. We saw Lionel Messi walk out of the last Miami game with an injury on his hamstring. Now, if you might have Messi restricted in minutes, let's not be catastrophic and say that he's not going to play the World Cup or that he's going to miss out X amount of games. Let's just say that he's restricted in minutes to maximize his performance. Wouldn't you want to have Dybala there?
I would, but I feel like last time we had Dybala in the lineup and Scaloni didn't put him in, and you ended up having other players fill in that gap with like Enzo, McAllister, Julian Alvarez, all these players that were really young, in their breakout moment. And because of them going into the game, they started their crazy careers at that moment.
That's right. Well, with that, we have to go on a break. Don't go anywhere. When we come back here, Más Copa Nation, a special edition of LatNation Football Club. And we are back here on Copa Nation. This is a special edition of LatNation Football Club, all about the World Cup, my friend. Nick.
Yo.
Have you heard the word trionda?
I have. Well, I hadn't until the World Cup came along. We got the soccer ball.
The soccer ball.
It's got elements of Mexico, Canada, USA on it. Cool graphic design. I like
it's
it.
beautiful. But you know what is even more interesting?
What?
The technology behind it, because this is the first ball in the World Cup that actually is going to need to be plugged into charge after every match.
You're joking.
No, I'm not. You want to learn more about it?
Please.
Let's take a look at this.
They're calling it the smartest ball in the world, and honestly, it might just be. Meet the Trionda, the official ball for this summer's global tournament. Its name says it all, Tri-Onda, a tribute to the three host nations, the United States, Canada, and Mexico. Because in today's game, technology is part of the show, the Tri-Onda features an inertial measurement unit sensor connected to a network of antennas, tracking its position, speed, spin, even every single touch in real time. And it gets even crazier. Between 8 and 12 cameras will be synced with the ball, capturing every movement on the pitch like never before. And of course, the design had to match the hype. A blue star for the US, a red maple leaf for Canada, and the green Mexican eagle front and center. The countdown is on, and I'm already ready to see the Trionda roll and hopefully celebrate plenty of goals from Mexico. Let the games begin.
What about that, Nick?
Oh, man, I mean, imagine halfway through the game it starts blinking and says low battery.
You gotta plug in, you gotta plug in, you gotta plug in, and there's no reading for the VAR.
Yeah.
The ball is not charged. But it was amazing to see the technology, to see the advancement that is going into these games. But you know what has not changed?
What?
The pleasure of filling your album. Have you ever filled a Panini album?
A Panini? No.
You've never filled the Panini album with all the stickers for the World Cup? Come
No, I never
on.
did that. I never
You don't
did
know
that.
about it.
I don't know anything about it.
This is the moment for you to learn. Take a look.
Okay, familia, what do you actually need to enjoy the biggest football celebration this summer? A yummy carne asada, backyard soccer games, and of course, the sticker album and a bracket to follow the tournament. We live in a world of trends, but having one of these will never get old. I grew up with this, and honestly, I think every generation has different memories filling them up. I remember using glue sticks. They didn't used to be stickers, and hey, relájense, I'm not that old, okay? Then saving unopened packs because they might be worth money someday. And now we're opening packs like a new pair of sneakers just dropped. It's not just about football. It's about the retro. Because at the end of the day, the album doesn't just hold players. It holds memories too. A ver, Walter, tell us, how many booklets have you completed so far?
3. The first one was 1990, Brazil 2014, and Qatar.
And do you have the new one?
Of course, I'm gonna fill it up this one.
Eso. Okay, Julian, tell us, when did you start collecting your estampitas?
Back in 2010, South Africa. That was, kid in school. Loved it.
Did you fill up the last one?
I did, of course. I got all of them. Argentina, campeón del mundo. ¡Vamos, Argentina!
Sencillito, sencillito. Another cool thing is the bracket. You can follow along when teams lose and teams advance. And of course, it has stickers too, so you place them when the teams win until you get to the big final. Who do you have on the final? Hi guys, checking in from Los Angeles Stadium, where today we got an exclusive look at the final preparations ahead of this summer's biggest international soccer tournament. Earlier today, we went on behind-the-scenes tour of the venue, showcasing some of the key changes that have transformed this iconic stadium into a world-class soccer destination. And of course, the star of the show was the pitch, which soon will play host to unforgettable moments in a venue more commonly known for NFL games and sold-out concerts. We also had the chance to chat with a few of the stadium representatives.
So generally the stadium is AstroTurf. So the challenge for FIFA is playing on natural turf. So it's grown on the turf. This was grown in Washington State. The surface, as you see it now, is probably 3 feet above the normal surface. So we've had to put a drainage cell at the bottom. It's almost like a bathtub where you put the natural turf in.
Now officially known as Los Angeles Stadium, during the tournament, the venue is ready to welcome more than 70,000 fans from around the globe for what promises to be an unforgettable celebration of the beautiful game. The countdown is almost over, and from what we have seen today, Los Angeles is more than ready to welcome the world.
Unfortunately, Nick, it probably will gonna set you back thousands of dollars to get every single sticker to fill tu álbum del Panini.
Everything changes.
Everything changes. You know what also changes? The time to go on a break, my friends. This is LatNation Football Club. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, más football right here on Copa Nation. ¿Qué tal, amigos? We are back here on Copa Nation, a special edition of LatNation Football Call, celebrating all things World Cup. And right now, I want to talk about music. Music is one of the most exciting things of the World Cup. There's official songs. This year, there's official albums. Everyone and their mama made a song for this World Cup. Nick, are we going nuts? We used to have one song. It was Shakira, always Shakira.
Yeah.
You know, Ricky Martin. We had the Latinos representing. And now you get a song, you get a song, you get a song. Everybody get a song.
Fun fact.
Jelly Roll.
We've seen more Shakira at the World Cup than the Italian national team. Just saying, as of late. That's a fun fact for you guys. But the more the merrier with music.
You like it?
Like, I'll argue all day long. Like, we got too many tournaments, there's too many games going on, like, chill, too many teams in the tournaments, whatever. But the theme songs, the music, I'm all for it. They're not always going to be iconic like back in the day, but hey, whatever.
Alex, I know that you've been super plugged in on this subject. Now, tell me, what are the biggest collabs that you are seeing come out for official songs of the World Cup?
I mean, I feel like the Dioro song with, what is it, El Barrio, that one was really sick. And I feel like, I don't know, going back to Nick's point though, I don't know if it's a really good idea to have so many songs come out.
Which one are you gonna learn?
Yeah, exactly, because then at that point, would you rather have 10 songs that are mid, or would you rather have one that's really good one and so iconic like the Shakira one back in the day? I don't know.
Nothing's going to top that one. I'm actually not even a huge fan of the songs I've heard so far for this World
Cup. Even the Shakira,
I'm not hating, but
even
I'm just
the
saying.
new Shakira one is
That's the
that
thing.
good.
Here's the thing. When you have 3 countries and you have to represent each one of them, you cannot put them all together in one song, right? Like you need to bring. Now, one of the questionable ones, me personally, I didn't like it, the Karim Leon song with Jelly Roll. nice crossover, nice representation of border culture. Karim Leon wants to do his crossover to country. That's clear. Jelly Roll, he does not want to do his crossover to reggaeton, that's for sure. Did you like the song?
Not my style of music, let's just say that. It felt forced.
Yes.
It doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel natural. Is Shakira from Africa? No, but it worked. It sounded good, like it flowed. This seems almost forced.
Yeah.
You've been there through it all, just do it again. Now you got to believe, I believe, cause you know what it takes.
Would you define that most of the marketing efforts that we've seen here in the U.S. follow that trend? Like,
100%.
Like maybe we didn't got the true football culture people in the room to make the right decisions?
That is the bigger point in this whole conversation. This is just one part of that issue, from when it comes to ticket sales, to the fan zones, of probably not even being free at this point either, to all of that things. It's more run on the corporate side, and that seems to be calling the shots than actually the heart, the soul of the people who matter most, and that is the fans and the culture that represent those fans. And unfortunately, it's not always led by that, and we're seeing more and more commercials, what is it, the hydration breaks? The hydration breaks, even when it's an indoor stadium like in Arlington, Texas, where it's like 68 degrees in there and we need a hydration break so we can run ads.
Halftime shows?
Halftime
shows?
I
understand halftime show in the final, makes sense, it's a big event, maybe in the opening game, but every show with a halftime show?
Yeah, it's a little too corporate.
102 Super Bowls, Infantino, dude? Like, come on, bro, like that's not for real. Now, let's go to the good things. There's gonna be so much more music than in the past. There's gonna be so much more party, environment. Do we feel like here in the U.S. the restrictive nature of loud music, of tailgating, will kind of tamper the excitement of the World Cup and the ability for us to just like share this music publicly, loudly, in party mode without being kind of like forced into these beer gardens?
I think so, because when you think of World Cups abroad in Latin America or in Europe, you're in these like very dense like metropolises where you can walk around and just like drunk British people stumbling out of bars and crawling to the next one. How's that going to work like in Dallas, where you have to take like a 48-minute Uber to one stadium and then get back to the center of the city, or in LA? You can't just like walk around. So I think that's going to be a challenge for a lot of fans that can't afford to come here in the first place right there. So it's going to be tough.
And then the Uber is going to cost you like $100. So it's like...
Well, that's less than the $200 that the parking is going to cost here in SoFi, so...
It's good. And then $50 beers.
Yeah.
Everything.
Right.
Everything's just gonna add up. I think just going to one World Cup game is gonna cost you a few grand, and you could not even have that good of seats.
Right.
There's no song that can fix that, my friend.
No.
There's no amount of songs that you can put out that is gonna fix how crazy these prices are, how elitist, how oligarch this World Cup is. Only the millionaires, only the rich ones will be able to go. The working family of four that wanted to go see their team, that wanted to see any team, they might not. I'm hoping that FIFA gets their message and their prices crash hard on match days, and a lot of people get access to these games, the people that really deserve, the working class from the United States.
I mean, everyone's always joking about like, oh, who sold the house? And it's you at the World Cup, at the games. But some people are actually doing this. There's a story of a guy in England that actually sold his house to go and do his, shebang for the whole World Cup. So
if you wanted to go watch the U.S. play the last time the World Cup was here, it would have been the equivalent to like $150 for a ticket, and that was kind of on the pricier side. Now you're talking thousands. You're talking like tens of thousands of dollars to see Team USA play, like we're Spain or France or something. Come on, get out of here. It's not fair. It's just not fair.
It is not fair. You know what is also not fair? That we are forced to learn so many songs for the World Cup, but we are going to be representing, we're going to be supporting, we're going to be excited, despite the hard efforts of FIFA to make this the hardest World Cup to be part of. But you know it, we know it. The World Cup is going to make everyone happy, regardless, because the illusion to see your team win is too big.
Yeah.
Especially for Argentina.
I mean, Argentina's winning regardless, so I don't know what you're talking about. Mexico is going to be sitting, very
Sitting
sad
nicely
at
on
home.
semifinals.
No, semifinals of what?
Semifinals.
Not the World Cup, that's for sure. But bueno.
The beef is real. The beef is real, my friend. Now, Nick, let's talk about culture for a moment.
Sure.
Do you feel like the fan fest will be enough to just fuel the fire of the next generations of soccer fans and soccer players here in the United States? Because that's what most people can aspire to go to.
So I started playing soccer when I was like in kindergarten. Here you get the little kids running around the field, right? They don't even know where they're going. It's cute. Then you play AYSO, the public league, and then you play club. For this whole football career I've had, I've always been hearing about how the U.S. is up and coming. It's happening. The game's getting bigger. It is, but very slowly. And here's why: because we don't have a sort of relegation system like USL goes to MLS, and there's no opportunity for more people to get involved in the game and sort of get emotionally invested. You have to be like the fan of this MLS team. The barrier to entry into the sport's just not, I think where it should be. So that's a bigger picture question. For this World Cup, again, no, I don't think so. It's corporate. It's going to be forced. You're going to see a lot of like sponsorships, a lot of people performing at these things, and it's going to be like corporate opportunities to use it as marketing more than actually, hey, let's give the people a fun place to watch and just have fun and get drunk and celebrate and all come together. No, it's sponsored by this, sponsored by that, this one and this brand and this brand and this brand, and here's a gift bag from this brand. But that's American culture. That's the USA right there.
That's how they built every sport in the US.
How many commercials have we seen for this World Cup so far?
Every day. There's a new commercial every day. It's so commercialized, but this is not new. FIFA is probably one of the most corrupt organizations in the planet. We all know it. The US government knows it. They brought them down in just for them to get a World Cup. That was clear that when that happened back in the big CONCACAF scandal of not too long ago, the U.S. came out really, really well positioned to be the new voice of CONCACAF and a very important voice in the global soccer. So a lot of politics are being in play on this World Cup. The change of format, I'm not so happy. There's rumors that we might go up to 64 teams for the next World Cup. What are we doing? But unfortunately, there's not enough time to talk about everything that we need to do. So we're going to go on a quick break. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, Más Copa Nation, a special edition of LatNation Football Club.
Is there any digging out of this massive hole that the Red Sox have built themselves? And Adam, I'm not talking about playoffs here, I'm talking about just like a respectable 500 type season.
Yeah, this team is an absolute mess and should blow it up. Should be sellers come the deadline, and anything that you've got of value, get rid of it and just try and remake this thing.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
I don't always do a great job of delivering it in the right way. I will admit that. But I think overall, when you're honest with people, they know they can trust you. That, I think the last thing you want to be is somebody who BS's people, and then they don't know if what you're saying is true, if you're manipulating them.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Craig Carton along with Tyrone Johnson. We got great news for you. CraigCartonShow.com. And Tyrone, what do you get if you go to that amazing website?
Well, right now you can subscribe to our upcoming newsletter. You put in your email address, and then bang, you'll get all the new Craig Carton Show content when it arrives.
Not just that, you also get merch drops, exclusive content, and appearances. So again, one more time, that website is CraigCartonShow.com.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
¿Qué tal, amigos? We are back here on Copa Nation, a special edition of LatNation Football Club celebrating all things World Cup, Nick.
Yes.
And there is this legendary player, my friends, that Mexico cannot be thought about without him. Cuauhtémoc Blanco. That's right. The only bad thing about that player is he's American legend, and you know we don't really like America here.
We don't judge here.
Nik does. But we had the opportunity, Nick, to sit down and have a conversation with one of the most iconic players in the Mexican team. You want to check it out?
I'd love to see it.
Let's take a look.
Sentí un gran orgullo representar a tu país. Cuando llegué yo a la América, primero era jugar de titular y lo segundo, llegar a la selección mexicana. Nada, que sentí un gran orgullo representar a mi país. Híjole, la verdad no me acuerdo, creo que de ahí te llevan a la mayor. Creo que mi primer llamado fue, y Luis Hernández andaba como desaparecido, no lo encontraban, y me llamaron a mí. Fue en la Copa Rey Fat, yo no jugué en un partido, pero fue mi primera convocatoria allá en Arabia Saudita. No, es muy inolvidable. Creo que cuando subes con la selección sabes que estás representando a tu país y mucha gente te está viendo y les das una gran alegría a todos los mexicanos. Bueno, cuando jugamos los mundiales sabes que hay mucha gente que se queda aquí, que está viendo los partidos. Todos los mexicanos son los que echan más relajo, ¿no? Y toda la gente del mundo nos ama porque somos algo especial. Hay mucha gente que quién sabe cómo le hace para llegar a los mundiales. Cuando tú estás en la cancha y ver los que te están animando, apoyando, creo que hasta te sientes muy contento, muy feliz. Mi compadre y yo, Germán Villa, nos tocó de compañeros de cuarto, apenas empezábamos, íbamos casi ya a debutar, estábamos ahí en la habitación inventando festejos y festejos y festejos. Y un día vimos una persona que le hizo así y dije, pues ahí está, ahí se queda. Pues eso lo practiqué en el América, en unos espacios reducidos que antes se llamaba el frontón. Y recuerdo también que Villa pues, brincaba siempre con el balón como chapulín y me pateaba. Entonces a la gente le gustó muchísimo. Los logros que hemos tenido, pues, he ganado algunas copas de oro. Gané la Copa Confederaciones, creo que para nosotros fue uno de los grandes logros que hicimos en el Estadio Azteca porque competimos contra Brasil. Un partido, la verdad, que muy bueno, inolvidable, que a la gente le gustó. Y imagínate jugar con Brasil y decir, pues, le ganamos a Brasil. Y era cuando Ronaldinho estaba muy joven, había grandes jugadores en la selección de Brasil. Entonces, para nosotros era muy importante ganar y que estábamos de local. Creo que México tiene todo. Va de local, tienen que aprovecharlo. Cuando viene la hora de la verdad, se tienen que motivar para sacar las cosas adelante.
Y ese fue Cuauhtémoc Blanco, a legend of the Mexican team. Nick, we're stepping it up, my friend. We're like getting just the elite of players right here on LatNation Football Club.
Were you a little nervous to talk to him?
A little bit, because he's a legend. But you know me, I figure it out.
Yeah, now, you can talk to anybody.
I can talk to anybody. Now, Nick, there's so much more to learn about in this World Cup. Now, do you like freestyling?
I do. That was one of the biggest. I told you, I grew up during the Jogo Bonito, Ronaldinho days, so I was in my backyard all day long, just juggling around the world. I didn't have all the fancy tricks that people are coming up with today, but you know, I could do the basics.
That's right, Nick. And if you at home want to learn a little bit more about freestyling, one of the things that have brought so many new fans to the sport, let's take a look.
The biggest fiesta futbolera is getting closer and closer, and here in La Ciudad de Los Angeles, you can already feel the game in every corner. Today, we made our way to the neighborhood of Glendale, known for its shopping centers, its parks, and now for hosting these rooftop soccer fields at Skyline Pitch. And with this incredible view behind us, let's meet those who are about to experience a summer full of emotion, magic, and muchas dominadas. Randy and Kevin are based in Southern California and practice freestyle, another way to connect with the most popular sport in the world. Randy, tell me, what inspired you to get into freestyling?
I was inspired by this very viral clip of Cristiano Ronaldo. He did this really cool trick. It went viral and I just loved it. And I fell in love with doing tricks and now this is what I do.
Okay, guys, but Kevin has 3 world records. Tell me more about this.
I mean, they're all dealing with a variation of this trick. done this for 8 hours, 42 minutes. I've walked about 10 miles, and then I've also done a slightly different trick, but 3 nonetheless.
They also visit schools, inspiring kids to play the game, bringing a little piece of the soccer fever to the LA community. But I do have one very important question. Who's going to win this year?
I'm a Cristiano Ronaldo fan, so I have to go with Portugal.
Okay, and how about you?
The U.S.
But you guys make this look super easy that I want to try it. How about we do La Dominada Challenge? But you guys have to help me out, okay? Perfect. I got this.
So we're gonna do this trick. I'm gonna show it to you first. We're gonna do it in 3 steps. First one is backspin, and we're gonna catch it in between the knees. Okay, got that one?
Got it.
Second one, we're gonna lift up one leg, the ball is going to drop, and we're going to catch it.
Okay.
And the last step, step 3, we're gonna jump up, hold it with both ankles nice and tight, and you're gonna catch it.
Perfect. Easy.
That's
easy.
it?
I got this. I got this.
Casi, casi. Ahí está. Ah. Pásame. Ahí está. Un, dos. Okay. Okay. Ahí.
And well, I think it's safe to say that I'll stick to the microphone and leave this to the experts.
Freestyling, one of the most exciting disciplines around football, Nick, que esos son skills.
Yeah, and especially when you start to see that, like, at some point, some of these moves end up being incorporated in the game, in everyday play.
As long as
it takes a while, but it gets there.
Or the coach sits you.
Yeah.
Immediately benches you if you were pulling some of these
Don't do a head spin while you have a breakaway, one-on-one with the goalie.
Well, now, Nick, in the meantime, we have to go another break because this is Copa Nation, and we'll be right back con más Fútbol Mundial right here on LatNation. Are you ready for el verano más futbolero de tu vida? LatNation Football Club turns into Copa Nation, our live stream experience every day, de lunes a viernes, 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Pacific as well. Checking in after the games, in that slot between games. Don't miss it. Copa Nation right here on LatNation every day. Check it out. ¿Qué tal, amigos? Estamos de regreso. This is Copa Nation, the special edition of LatNation Football Club celebrating all things World Cup. And I had the opportunity to sit down and talk to Camilo Lara, the mastermind behind the Mexican Institute of Sound. That's right, a revolutionary band from Mexico that had the pleasure to create the Sonic ID, the official song for Mexico City. Let's take a look. Hello, my friends. We are here on LatNation Football Club, and I'm beyond excited because I have someone very special joining us today for the show. This is Camilo Lara. Camilo, gracias por estar aquí. How are you?
Gracias. I'm really good, really happy, really excited about the World Cup.
For those who might not know, Camilo Lara created the Sonic ID for Mexico City for the 2026 World Cup, which is very important because it tries to capture the sound of the city, the host city for the World Cup. Camilo, how was the process for you to figure out how did the Mexico City sounds like?
First of all, I want to apologize because you're going to hear it a lot. So don't hate me, it's just the way it is. I was invited to do like a kind of a Mexico City idea of how this could sound. And it was a big challenge because Mexico is many things, no? It's not only one genre or one voice. It's like a monster of a million heads. So I kind of, what I did was something that I spoke to me and something that was in my world and something that I feel comfortable doing it. And because I'm from Mexico, I'm born and raised there. So that I wanted to do that. So it's a personal Sonic ID that I hope through individuality can make collectivity. So.
What other moments in your career has football and music overlap before this World Cup experience?
Well, I have played in stadiums. I know a few football players. I don't know. It's there. It's growing up in Mexico City, I had three kind of friends, like the ones that like Pumas, the one that likes Cruz Azul, and the ones that like America.
So we only like one group of the three.
Right. So yeah, you have to choose your friends carefully.
Con este ritmo quiero bailar esta nueva cadencia.
Football question. ¿Te gusta que haya descenso y promoción, or are we cool now moving into an MLS style where we're going to have these 20 teams and they're not going to change?
Yo sí soy fan de mobility, del descenso. There are some teams in lower leagues that could deserve like the shot, and it's good to keep it fresh, like to make the teams go more competitive. And yeah, it's different times, right?
Different times.
I have to see it for a couple of temporadas to see if I'm okay with that. But at this moment, not yet.
I know we are a fan of promotion and relegation because we believe that it's fair. Like you said, there are teams that work really hard the whole season and they don't have the chance to llegar a la fiesta grande.
Yes.
Now, if you were to change three things in football to make it better, what would they be?
This is going to be very polemic. But I would get rid of VAR.
Okay.
I think it's not basketball. It's not an exact science. It just needs to be really rely on humanity. And I think that's important. The other one, I would say, advertising-wise. Sometimes some channels go really wild on advertising. I would lower it down a few notches.
Bájale el volumen.
Y bájale un poquito a los supers y a las cosas. And probably the third one, I would be really happy if women's football had the same focus as men's. For me, that would be really cool, a world where we can have the woman, the Messi from the women's team. Just being as important and get paid the same. So that would be incredible.
Saludos a Camilo. Thank you so much for that great interview. It was a pleasure to talk about music, Pumas, football, y el World Cup. It was amazing, and we thank Camilo not only for the music that he has created for the World Cup, but also coming here to the LatNation studios. But unfortunately, it's time to call it a day. We come to the end of the show, and I want to thank you, the MVP of LatNation Football Club, for choosing to be here with us. Preparation for the World Cup is ongoing, and we'll have it here. Be tuned in. Follow us on LatNation Media and LatNation FC on Instagram to learn the schedule of the live stream that we're going to be having throughout the World Cup. You know it. LatNation Football Club is the place to know everything football.